Hi, Rigsters here, back with another episode of Forza Horizon 5. On this viewer's suggestion, I'm tuning a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302 from default class, not a crazy bunkers tune, to Class A street tune. Much more practical tuning this time, thank goodness. The DMC-12, crazy fast, but my goodness, I couldn't control it worth a darn. So we're going to start off with the brakes to go under platform and handling. It's the most important thing. You can't stop, you can't go. That's how I view it. Put race brakes, of course. Race suspension. The usual race roll bars. Now for weight reduction, I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. Normally I say as much weight reduction as possible, but this time around, I'm going to see if maybe I can increase the power a little bit. So I'm going to do sport weight reduction instead. See if maybe I can get a little more out of it. And go to tires and rims here. Semi-slicks, of course. My go-to choice for race street tunes. The tire width, I'm going to go to maximum 275s on the front. On the rear, I'm gonna do, let's do 345s just to be safe. That'll increase the handling by the most. Track width, let's do maximum? Yeah, let's do maximum. It looks cooler that way too, so let's do that. Drive terrain, do the clutch here, do race clutch. For the transmission, I'm just gonna do race transmission. I usually prefer that or the 7-speed. Sometimes I'll go as crazy as 8 speeds if it has a lot more power to work with, but since it's Class A, 6 to 7, if it's not stock width, is sufficient. Do that. Race driveline, and of course race differential. And now to add some power here, do maximum race intake, race manifold, race carburetor, race ignition, of course, race exhaust, race camshafts, race valves, maximum displacement for more power, and race pistons, and maximum flywheel. Oh, we're at 781, so let's see if I can reduce the weight even more. Yeah, can do. Alright, we'll definitely do that then. Now, optionally, this is not mandatory for some older cars. If you're finding some trouble handling, believe it or not, even though it adds weight, it shifts the center of gravity. As you notice, when I tab over here, you see the front, like going from 54 to 53, despite adding more weight. It is a suggestion. I'm not saying you should do this on every car, and for some cars it makes them outright hideous. This one, it doesn't actually seem to make it look that bad, per se. I'm going to do race chassis reinforcement, just to see if maybe stiffening the chassis and shifting the center of balance towards the front a little more to get it closer to 50-50, despite it adding 143 pounds, might be worth it. So I would suggest, just to start off with, do stock. I'm going to put race for the video, just for something different. Conversion, optionally, I could add a supercharger, but since I put on the, the race roll bars, it puts it to S1, so let's see if we can actually fit that in if I get rid of that. Let's just see. If I get rid of that chassis reinforcement, can I add more power? Barely, but yes. It only will add 30 more horsepower and increase the weight by a little bit, but I think it'll be worth it. Let's add the supercharger in. And then let's buy and install the parts. This tune will cost, well, it's not going to cost $1,800. It's usually around $40,000 to $70,000 when you add that on there. Because I've done this tune before on this prior to this video, but doing something a little different. And I'll see you at the street Goliath, or at least the street race, and then I'll show the tune. See you there. So I'm gonna take this with the supercharger installed conversion A-Class Mustang to the Marathon, so let's see how this goes. Oh look, it's a twin mill. Right next to me here. That's actually pretty cool. So, the Boss 302 Mustang was developed in response to GM's Camaro C28 program in what was at the time sports car racing. I think it was called, was it SCCA or Can-Am Racing? It was pretty good at what it was doing. This was basically the street car version of a lighter weight, higher revving V8. This definitely was intended for handling more than outright straight line speed. Which, yeah, was a thing back then. I love the look of this car too, it's pretty nice. And so far, believe it or not, most of the tuning I've done to this car, once I show it at the end of this race here, haven't really changed a whole lot, outside of putting the supercharger on prior to heading out. It's doing pretty good. And the engine sounds nice too. Oh, it sounds so glorious. That rumble of the V8. And seeing the AI bonk into traffic is priceless. This is pretty competitive, I think. Definitely much more controllable than that crazy Dio area DMC-12 I did. Holy moly. Was that a doozy of a car to do. Unlike that crazy no holds bar. Not no holds bar. Oh gosh, I can't even say the same right while driving. Basically unrestricted tune. This is much more beginner friendly. It will catch you out though if you don't treat it with respect, just like any rear-wheel drive car, but it's not uncontrollable. You can easily correct the mistakes on this car. And the rim sizes, I should have mentioned before heading out, are stock. Very wide touchdown, unless if it's really tiny rims. I may go like an inch or two higher than stock. But assume 95% of the time, I'm going to keep the tire rim size the way they came. The only exception to that is cross-country tune. Sometimes you can tune the diameter to be smaller, which can help with off-road grip because you have more tire around the rim than the rim being around it. That helps more for off-roading than it does on-roading. And I'm actually not doing too bad here, 6th place. Just trying to get this car to get up to speed more. It's very good handling. I mean, it also helps, you know, when you put semi-slick tires on older cars, you put modernized rubber, they can hang pretty good in the corners. I wouldn't say it's Ferrari-like, but it's certainly better than whatever rubber the game equips them with. I just love the sound of V8. And here's the interior, well, albeit a little cracked because I bumped into something. And it's zoomed in look, right here. Pretty nice looking gauges. Basically what you need. They're pretty nice. The top speed of this tune right now is in the 180s. I think it's low 180s. It's on the slightly slower end for the high end speeds, but it's pretty competitive. Yep, want to definitely slow down for that turn. Just like as before. But this time, since I actually have control, I can actually make the turn. Doing pretty good. One of these times, I'm going to win this race on a tune for YouTube. For some reason, this particular race, even though I've done it multiple times now on camera, I haven't really, except for one time, won, per se. Yeah, this turn is the only limitation of this handling is it understeers into there as usual. There's the twin mill taking off. But I should be able to catch up to the pack now. It seems for some reason to sometimes slow down here or to tune more for acceleration. Yeah, I'm in 8th, but that's okay. You know? I think I could get into top 5 for this race. Especially considering that a car hit the traffic there. There we go. Now this wing is non-functional, meaning that it's just for looks. It doesn't really provide much downforce, if at all. But it does look nice. It's very tasteful. Makes it look nice is what I mean by that. Yep, and I'll downshift to 4th here and see if I can get just a little more acceleration through that turn. It's like, get out of the way. I know this is against bots, but I don't know why I even say that sometimes. It's like, get out of the way. Oh wait, they're bots. Oh. The one nice thing and interesting fact about this game, though, is on Steam, if you're looking through Steam or your Xbox account, you will see your friends list players, even though they may not own the game per se, but they have like an Xbox account or Steam and you added them through it. Occasionally, you can see their screen name as an avatar, or drivatar as Xbox calls it. Well, I shouldn't say Xbox, just to say like Turn 10 Studios is the real correct terminology. Oh man, the handling is so nice on this car. Now, through the handling sections, or at least the medium to lower speeds, this car is supremely good. You might understeer a little bit for turns like that, but that's okay. It's not like uncontrollable understeer. It'll turn in just fine. You just have to manipulate the throttle and brakes a bit depending on the turn, and that takes practice. It's not really easy to explain, especially when you're actually, you know, doing the said thing on, well, a virtual camera. But in due time, you'll start seeing patterns. And the game, within reason, I mean, it's not a sim racer, but within reasonable doubt, as I bonk into another car, it does follow some principles that you use in reality and in actual racing that actually translates pretty well. I want to make sure I can finish in the top 5 this time. It is so hard on this course, by the way, to get higher than 5th. Especially at the difficulty I set it to, which is almost unbeatable. It's just one notch below that. That's why I don't usually win these. It's also partly because, you know, I'm doing different tunes. And also, occasionally, you know, I screw up and I bonk into things. It's just the way it happens. I still enjoy driving this course in almost any car, for that matter. It's a nice short race and it earns good money. And it has high-speed sections. What more can you ask? 5th place, 939. Okay. It lacks a little bit on straight line speed, but it is a very competitive build that you could use on most street courses. This one in particular, because I have difficult AI, it could be a bear to get higher than 5th, but it could be done. Alright, let's see what we got on the wheel spin. Alright, a Max Forza Editions Meyer. That's a dune buggy. Oh, I already have this car? Well, I'm selling it. I need cash. That's actually one of the more common Forza Edition cars, at least if I've came across. So, that's pretty much it for this 1969 Ford Boss 302 Mustang. I know I said it out of order, but it's a Boss 302. That's all you gotta know. Let me show the tune real quick here. Tires are kept stock. This is fine. The gearing I might monkey a little more with. I geared it a little bit towards acceleration at 3.60 gears. The acceleration through the gears seems to be adequate, except on 5th. I would recommend maybe going to 103 gear ratio just to get a little more acceleration out of 5th. 6 is fine. You know, I don't really need to mess with the alignment. I think it's perfect. Roll bars is a preference thing for this particular car. I didn't have any problems though. Doesn't really need to be filled with, in my opinion, for this kind of build. Springs are kept stock. Believe it or not, a lot of times in this game, at least in Horizon 5, it actually doesn't do too bad getting it up and going. 4, you really have to play around with these even more often. Dampening's fine. I may tune it slightly towards stiff for the rear, but for now, just keep it stock. These values are fine to me. Aero's okay. Brakes don't need adjusted at all. The brakes are perfect, in fact, with this build. You don't need to really mess with that. Differentials is a preference thing for this particular one too. I found it to be locking just fine. It's not too much, it's not too little. And I'm gonna apply and save the setup. And do that there. And then I'll share this build as well. Do it for grip. And hit share. There you go. So if you want to have this same exact tune in parts build, I just shared that there. The share mechanic in this game is a little weird with the tunes, so it might be tricky to find, but that's what I did. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Rigsters Journey, signing off.